Yeah.
You probably would have had better internet in Mexico than whatever you have at your house.
Yeah, I don't think that this is like a test. Yeah, I think we are recording. So
I actually
we're
brought
live.
my modem from Mexico back to Baltimore in hopes it would improve things.
You stole the good stuff and brought it back. That's usually what people do is they bring it back across the border, the good stuff.
Luke is back with us on oh, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, Luke is back with us. He's back from Mexico. We're the Football Yanks. It's an international break. It's been a while since we've had to suffer through one of these. So there's not a ton to talk about in terms of the EPL, and but obviously there is stuff to talk about with the US team. Derek usually has that pretty well covered for us, so we'll talk through the Yanks. And it looks like there's some Nations League notes here. I can talk some transfer stuff. I have some
the Ryan Orr transfer rumor mill keeps going even over the break.
Yeah. That's sort of the plan today. If we're not filling time enough, I'm just going to go through like the top Reddit posts this week, and that'll drive Luke crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say we could trigger probably both of us.
Not our Reddit posts, just like about soccer.
Well, that's something that Reddit needs to be exposed to. Is Luke's diatribes. Yeah,
Luke always seems to have like a real axe to grind with Reddit, as though it's not just like as though it's not just like links to information. Like
just a bunch of people saying stupid shit.
Maybe that's a selling point for our Discord, is people can come interact with us without interacting with Luke.
Yeah, Luke's falling out with Reddit, I think, is tightly coupled to them pointing out the realities of Hyunmin Son's shithousery.
That subreddit did it for him, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, he was just over it after that. Dude, how was Mexico?
It was great. It was really fun. Yeah. We got sick for a day. Got that like norovirus.
Montezuma's revenge.
Yeah,
can you say that?
For like 8 hours. I don't know if you can say that. It's a good question. We'll let Reddit tell us. It was good though. It was really good. Much needed. Lots of beach time. A little bit of sunburn. Even though I look white as fuck on this podcast, I swear I have some tan.
Dude, I suffer from that too. I'm like, we're like, my family is like basically 100% Irish. You can tell by how like big my fucking head is. Like physically big, physically large. Yeah. It's funny, like when we see like I'll be watching like Brighton with Shannon, and they'll show a shot, like a profile shot of Evan Ferguson, and I'll be like, guess what fucking country that guy's from? Like that dude has the noggin of an Irish man if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, John McGinn is another example. He's Northern Ireland, but or no, he's Scottish. Never mind. No, John McGinn's Scottish.
He's Scottish.
Yeah. His look is more like I'll headbutt you in the bar because you spilled half of your beer on the bar top.
Butt check your ass.
Yeah. What did you call it? A weapon of mass destruction, I think. Yeah. Anyway, what the fuck? How did I get here?
We're talking about how we're both white as fuck.
Oh, yeah. So I'm either white or red. I don't know what your like family background is, but yeah, that's
about like half, 3/4 Irish. So I feel you.
Okay. Yeah. Similar. And Derek is a proud Italian man.
50%. Was never going to disclose it, but
another man I've never seen tan before, and I don't believe that's ever happened.
Freckles, you only get to tan, right? Yeah, it's freckles get darker.
It's the
northern Italian, very northern.
Yeah, it's that and like Polish, right? Is that your background?
Polish, Ukrainian, yeah.
Ukrainian, that's right. Yeah. I also before you joined, I pointed out that Derek's like really bringing the heat with the RGB keyboard. You see that, Luke? Is that coming through for you?
You probably can't see it with the amount of pixels he's looking at.
Not that I give a shit what an RGB keyboard is at all.
Look at that thing.
If anybody ever described my keyboard to me, I'd fucking smack them in the face.
Ryan said we were going to be on Twitch today. I was like, all right, time to stream over here.
It's putting on like a light show, man. Yeah.
I don't know how to properly configure the 4 applications I need to get my Stream Deck working properly, but I've got my RGB keyboard hooked up.
There you go.
Why do you need a light bulb? Like, why do you need LEDs under your keyboard? I don't understand.
It came with that. I don't know. It's a mechanical keyboard.
Look at it.
It's like an Avicii concert on your desk.
Yeah. I'm getting ready for Excision next weekend.
I'm bumping up against 40 at this point, and like carpal tunnel is actually starting to affect me. So my keyboard is the exact opposite of that. Like
it's the ergonomic.
Yeah. I'm like increasingly getting into these like crazy nerdy ergonomic keyboards to try to like save my ability to do my job.
How many do you have? Like, how many ergonomic keyboards have you bought in the last year?
I've been trying just two, but I have a third one coming. I think the third one will be it's like the alpha and the omega for like
he's a
ergonomic
hacker, right?
keyboards.
His hands are insured for big dollars.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, but yeah, it is. It's like really fucking up my left wrist is just. I don't know. I feel like I've just like hit the point in life where you're just like constantly problem solving with your body. Like I'll fix this and then something else will happen. But
I find that if you break your scaphoid when you're 25, you notice carpal tunnel much less later. So maybe that's something to think about.
Derek's been troubleshooting for 15 years.
Nothing's worked, so it's not getting any worse. It just was bad to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your favorite part of the Mexico trip, Luke?
Ooh, well, I think just like we're big fans of just like staying in a palapa for like 10 hours and not moving at all, except to go pee in the ocean and next to my world. No, dude. So that was awesome. And then so we went to Sayulita, right? So it's north of Puerto Vallarta, and we saw the fucking best band, like the best cover band at like 10 o'clock at night or so until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Played like Pearl Jam, System of a Down, and weren't like shitty. Like they were like 100% legit, like drum solo, like guitar solo. The singer was amazing.
Were they local or did they like fly in from somewhere?
No, they were from Puerto Vallarta and they just go to Sayulita every Sunday.
Nice.
So it kind of happened upon that, and that was quite a fun night. Drank far too much that night. It was like the live music took control, and Luke had some palomas, and then had some some Pacificos and shots of tequila.
Is that your resort? You actually like came across the like.
Sayulita doesn't really have any resorts. It's a lot more like Airbnbs, like old shitty Mexico hotel kind of things.
Downtown, and you knew they were there.
Yeah, essentially they were. Yeah, just at a bar downtown. It was really cool. Really fun. Yeah, some other good times, but that really kind of was like the peak at night, and then just sitting on a beach all day.
So that all sounds sick. 2 thoughts on that. One, Shannon and I, for the most part, suck at that type of vacation. I aspire to be able to sit still for 8 hours or whatever you just said. We just can't do it, man. I get bored at a beach in an hour and a half. I wish I could just like
order margarita after margarita and then fall asleep and then burn your life out and hide under the shade and then order more margarita. Really, the margaritas are the train.
Yeah,
it's weird to me too because you like reading a lot too, don't you, Ryan?
I do. So I find it hard to read in the sun. Like,
true.
So that like, I don't know. I just rather, my ideal would be if I could be under some kind of cover with the view of a beach, but I'm just like not there yet with like, I'm not in that bracket, of like, of wealth, I guess.
I'm a big fan of the audiobooks on the beach. I don't really like reading in the sun either. Like you kind of have to keep turning around, to get the right
That's
sun.
A good point.
Audiobooks on the beach are amazing. So I listened to a couple audiobooks. I read a play that Tess and I are gonna work on this summer, not through True Penny, but it was nice. Yeah,
What's the next True Penny thing?
We're gonna do a True Penny Gallery show this like early fall, late summer.
Okay.
With a whole
Awesome.
bunch of artists and some
I
performances.
really liked the. Are you gonna do that in Hamden again?
At a different location, but probably not too far away. Our hope is that it won't be too far away. And
Okay.
then we're working on a play. I'm just really consulting right now. I might step into a larger role. This play called Crocodile Fever that Ryan, you'd probably like. Well, you both like. It's a play about two sisters, kind of in the late Troubles era. So a play about that has a huge crocodile in it, which we're really excited about. So we talked about that a lot.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
The other thought I had was when you were talking about the band playing System of a Down. Actually, this is like it's such a nerdy thing, but for biking, I've found listening System of a Down plays a lot of music in the form of like a waltz, so like
Sure.
3/4 time.
Yeah.
And so when biking, like a way to work on your non-dominant foot is to pedal to 3/4 time, because so I listen to a lot of System of a Down while I'm biking for that reason. Brought them back into my life. I hadn't listened to them for a while.
They're not necessarily my favorite band. They were kind of like my brother's favorite band, so by default I kind of fucking hated them forever. But occasionally I'm like, fuck yeah, like let's rock, you know. And I wouldn't go to a System of a Down concert, but it was fun to hear a really good cover of it.
Yeah,
which sounds super lame that that I was listening to a cover of System of a Down in Mexico. It's like, what the fuck? Why aren't you out salsa dancing? Because I was shitting my brains out that day, Ryan.
I don't think anyone asked that question.
Man, well, that took a hard left.
I was filling in space.
Hard. There was no need to fill in space.
That's me, right? Luke, the guy who fills in space.
Yeah, all right, everybody. Luke's back this week, in case you weren't aware.
Our viewership actually goes down.
Yeah, all right. Well, I guess we could talk about some soccer, some football. Derek, you want to talk about the
sure?
Where do you want to start? You're like,
we didn't get it. We can go through the Yanks stuff sequentially. So we didn't get a chance to talk about the wrap up of the women's Gold Cups. The U.S. women's national team obviously went on to win that 1-0 in regular time. Lindsey Horan with the game winner, which is, you know, not surprising given her leadership role at team. I think it's good to see some kind of given some of her general shithousery in terms of towards opponents, towards the fans, towards pretty much everybody. Which, you know, I think some of it becomes endearing to me the more of it I see, especially the way she does the exact same shit to the opponents, which I really appreciate. Like, she'll just dumpster somebody, give them the what for, and then look around like, you know, or you're calling a foul on me, right? Or do it and like know that she did it on purpose, right? But not get to the point of a yellow card. So anyway, she had a great Gold Cup. I think she's a holdover in a sense, I guess, between some of these, kind of a link between some of the older, the last generation of players, and then, like, you know, her and
she
Alex
really does
Morgan.
like fit, like she kind of bridges the gap.
Yeah. Like her and Alex Morgan are now kind of like I don't know, I think they're really the main holdovers from that generation. We fairly well dominated the game physically, I'd say. Brazil had 57% of the possession, but 0 shots on target. So I think that goes to show you that, like, ultimately there's a lot of teams that now have more parity in terms of technical skill, but I'll keep harping on it. Nobody has the overall athleticism in terms of speed, jumping ability, strength that I think this U.S. team does. And they found the right mix of the players to kind of exploit that against, especially teams in CONCACAF, I guess. But you could see that, you know, Brazil's a good example of a team that a decade ago wouldn't have really been competing with the U.S., especially in terms of technical skill, but is there now.
Who was the one woman they had who was
Marta.
like Marta?
Yeah.
She retired, right? She was playing in like the U.S.
The USL or something,
yeah, whatever.
USWL,
UWSL.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she kind of carried that team, right? But there wasn't a whole lot around her. Now they kind of have consistent technical skill on that team. But good to see the U.S. pull out the win here. I think that, in terms of takeaways, again, we're probably we're not in a dominant spot. I'm not necessarily worried about the FIFA rankings that would suggest we're like 4 or 5 or wherever we are. We know that there's a lot of bullshit that goes along with FIFA in general, and especially the rankings. But I think we're back up there in a place where I'm confident about us competing for World Cup titles again, right? And we've got like a very firm understanding of the player rotation and probably the starting 11. More to that point, I think Corbin, Albert, and Coffee were 2 people that really stood out, paired together in the midfield in this kind of more modern 4-2-3-1 that we were playing. And I don't know if I talked about it on this podcast, right? But one of my gripes during the World Cup last year was the kind of the formation problems, right, that you see going on there, and like the tactics, right? And I think having some flexibility now to pivot between a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1 with players that fit and can play with them both is pretty important. Again, Corbin Albert is one of those players that just covers the whole damn field. He just pops up all over the damn place, doesn't give the ball away. And frankly, the 2 of them are like, I think probably what like Chelsea envisioned when they spent $200 million on Caicedo and Enzo, right?
Yeah.
But
we're going to get there today.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to talk a little bit about Chelsea.
Not to draw poor analogies, but I think they look like what you'd look for in an ideal pairing in that formation. So really good to see. I think I've come back on a little bit harder versus where I was before when Ryan had. Yeah, I think Ryan at one point had said that Alex Morgan was past her prime, or something to that effect, and I think I tend to agree with that. Having watched the Gold Cup, I don't know that Sophia Smith at minimum isn't a significantly better starting option at this point. Both in terms of pace and technical skill, just what she brings to the table. We talked about Kat Macario coming back. Like, that's going to change the dynamic. And so maybe relegated to more of a substitution role would be better moving forward. We'll have to see how that plays out.
What was Alex Morgan? All right, so like if Alex Morgan if we agree that she is exiting her prime, how good was Alex Morgan? I guess is like the question I want to ask. So I'm looking at the all-time goal scorer leaders for the U.S. women's national team.
I'm going to say right off the bat, Abby Wambach was
Wambach's
significantly better in my mind.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a certain kind of like cultural following of Alex Morgan too, that necessarily wasn't a part of Wambach's career. It was, but it wasn't. I think that Alex Morgan has had a very particular place in kind of soccer culture in America. Partially because she's beautiful, partially because she's a fucking amazing player. I think she's been past her prime for a good long time, to be honest with you. It's really the pace. She doesn't really get in behind like she used to. Once that started to go away, I feel like the subset of her skills where she wasn't getting in behind was less than the Abby Wambachs of the world. That's where she didn't make up the same kind of like, she couldn't put in the intangibles that Abby Wambach could. She wasn't as good of a hold-up player necessarily, though she is really good physically and athletically. But without, I feel like the pace, when that started to go, Alex Morgan just wasn't quite as good. She's not the most technical player, in my opinion.
Yeah, so Alex Morgan has been a figure with the U.S. women's team who I've struggled with for a while. Like where, like in terms of the history of the team, where I think like as a marketing, like from a marketing standpoint, she's probably the most important player the
Since
US
Mia
has,
Hamm,
yeah, since
essentially.
Mia Hamm, yeah. So I was kind of forgetting about Mia Hamm.
Don't
Crazy
forget about
marketable.
Mia Hamm.
Crazy
No more
marketable.
Garcia Parra.
Yeah. But like it's almost like sort of a shame because I'm looking at the all-time goal scoring leaders, and that's just like one facet of like if you're trying to like figure out where Morgan fits in the history of this team, goals scored is like one facet, right? So Abby Wambach, number 1, 184 goals. Mia Hamm, 2, 158. Carly Lloyd, 3, 134. Christine Lilly, 130. Alex Morgan, 121. And what jumps out to me about that is that Lloyd and Wambach probably ate into the prime years in ways where Morgan would have been super effective for us. So you see what I'm saying?
Well, she didn't have to
there's
score the goals at
overlap,
the
yeah.
time. She didn't
Right,
have to score
yeah.
the same goals, right?
Yep.
And Carly Lloyd, some of those goals she scored were huge goals, like World
Yep.
Cup,
Yeah.
like World Cup game winners. Same thing with Abby Wambach. You look at Mia Hamm and Christine Lilly; they're kind of like another generation entirely. It's almost hard because the competition in the world was not as good at the time, and they were so good. It's kind of almost hard to compare them. It's almost like you have to separate the ecosystem of the women's game into like 2 centuries or 2 generations. And Mia Hamm, Christine Lilly is the first where the U.S. were really dominant. And now I actually think that the Wombachs, Lloyds, Morgans of the world are probably better players because the competition they're playing against is better. The competitions they play in terms of leagues, the league development are better. So it is a kind of like almost a totally new world here, even maybe from Carly Lloyd and Abby Wambach. I don't know.
Who do you think is the most important player the women's team has had over the years?
I think Mia Hamm is the most important
Yeah.
U.S. soccer player ever, more than any man that I could name, in terms of recognition of the game, both genders, as it were. I would say that she had more
I know
impact.
you have that opinion.
Yeah, I think the women's
national
idea
team,
if I
agree with it.
has had more impact for soccer in the U.S. than any men's team has ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Mia Hamm wasn't contemporary to me, so it's harder for me to judge, which makes it difficult between her and Carly Lloyd because
who's contemporary
just
to
saw
you, Derek?
live, right?
Where does Rapinoe sit?
God damn it! You lost me for a second, guys. I'm back.
What? Where does Rapinoe sit? Top 5?
Yeah, I don't know. Top 5 makes sense. Yeah.
Is Morgan top 5, or is she just on the outskirts?
I'd say she's just
like I'm
on the
thinking
outskirts.
in terms of like overall impact for the team, and
I think she's
I'd have
just
to
on
go
the
through a full
outskirts.
list. I mean, I put Chastain, Hamm, Lloyd,
Wambach
yeah,
has to be in there. Wambach scored some just iconic goals, man.
Yeah, so many.
And
Hope
What a
Solo's a
number 9.
polarizing figure up there in the top 10 somewhere.
we don't talk about Hope
Fucking
Solo
Hope.
anymore.
Sorry, is that one of those things? That's one of those things you can't bring up on Twitch. Never mind. Yeah. Edit that. I'm just gonna mark that clip.
She can beat the shit out of me anytime.
Oh man.
I hope Solo. What the fuck?
All right, well, that sounds like a good transition to
let's move
some of the other Yanks happenings with the men's national team. A couple of things as lead-ins to the break in the Nations League. I think one we haven't talked a lot about is Weston McKennie's resurgence this season. We did talk about the beginning of the season where it looked like he was going to get sold and he wasn't invited on the preseason tour. And they were basically telling him to get lost. And now, I think he's played something over 2,000 minutes for Juventus. I wouldn't say the goals created jump off the page, but in terms of general statistics and playing time importance to that team, he's become one of those, top box to box midfielder types that so many of the top Serie A teams have relied upon over the last decade, and he's become that for Juventus. So it's really good to see that come to fruition for a guy that even going back to his lead stand, right, took a bunch of shit about being out of shape and all of that stuff. So kind of came out on the other side of that. I haven't watched a ton of him play, but he's been getting big minutes for him.
Well, he's just not the traditional kind of like athlete build, like in terms of like European soccer, and especially like I think
True.
he gets shit because he's not the same athletic build as like what people expect. It's not that he's not fit, and he's so unconventional in the way he plays.
Yeah, I'm thinking, Jermaine Jones was a little bit like that too, I guess, in a sense, right? And had
not
a
as
good
technical,
career.
but I think you're right in terms of like athletic build and ability. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are built and have strength to go along with that athleticism.
Dude, I fuck with Jermaine Jones, man. We should start a Jermaine Jones fan club. Like
I do like Jermaine
angry
Jones.
German Americans trying to kick the shit out of some motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Tatted up.
Not trying, succeeding. The number of times he just would kick the shit out of somebody.
Like him in CONCACAF was a hilarious thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because he was having none of it, right? Like, yeah, it was an angrier version of Serginho Dest out there.
What are they? So I haven't been watching. I know like a lot of the men's, like the US men's team, they're playing in Italy, and I should be better about this, but I don't know. I do my best to like burn through all the EPL games every week.
Yeah, you can't miss any Burnley or Luton games. So that
Chelsea playing Burnley next week. Maybe that'll be the week we have Shannon on. It'll be like a house divided. Anyway.
She's not coming on the podcast.
She has said she wants to. Although, like now that we have video, she may be like less into that idea. Like
just just go over her video feed with a picture of a Prius or something. She'll be fine with that.
She had has that food blog and has been like very careful to never appear on video on that blog. So I don't know how into that idea she'd be. Anyway, my question was like, how are they lining McKennie up? Weston McKennie
at Juventus?
Yeah. Like, is he? What is his? I know he's in the midfield, obviously, but is he? I'm trying to figure out. So I'm on FBref. I'm trying to figure out like the stick with which I should measure him against, because he has some very impressive statistics. So if we do like the top five, the big five leagues over the last 365 days, he's in the like 95th percentile for assists.
I was gonna guess it was a 3-5-2, and it looks like I'd have to scroll through these.
He's kind
I
of
guess
like an attacking number 8, essentially, I think.
Yeah, it looks like they're playing mostly a 3-5-2 with him not directly in the middle, but one of three midfielders.
Yeah, so kind of like a number 8.
Yes. So that's like the interesting thing. If you do verse all midfielders, he's like in the 95th percentile for assists per 90. He's pretty good across most other assist shot creating actions. I mean, not stellar, but like up there, right? Yeah. Progressive passes received, I think is what that is. It's an interesting statistic, but 92nd percentile for
probably
that.
Pushing into his feet and the kind of in between they're really looking for him in between, probably like the outside fullback, the center back, in behind the midfield.
But then you have all these like weird defensive stats that he's like fucking excellent at. So like if you compare him specifically to attacking mids / wingers, obviously like his assist relative to them, like that's like more surgical group selection, his like assists go down, but he's like absurd for tackles, interceptions, clearances, aerials won. Like it's kind of an interesting package that you get with Weston McKennie, you know, like
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, it speaks a lot to sort of what you guys were saying about his like build and how he fits in and that sort of thing. Like he's like a fairly unique player, I think.
What I think the interesting thing in terms of U.S. men's national team with Weston McKennie in it would probably be more successfully shown if we didn't have a fucking Q-tip of a coach. Is that the combination of his abilities
get there today.
and Musa's abilities are fantastic together. Like they're the traits they have in combination. I think it's not like world beating, but I think it puts us on a level that we can be competitive with pretty much any national team. Like that midfield, those two in midfield, you could put up against any other, most other 2-8s in midfield in world football on the international level, and they can compete.
Yeah.
They're not
it's interesting
because
they both kind of get knocked at times for their passing accuracy and ability. But I don't disagree, right? Like that's a powerhouse midfield that frankly at this point doesn't even leave us wanting for Tyler Adams in the lineup, which is crazy to think about.
Well, if you're looking for a number 6 to counterbalance those, then that's where he comes in. But in terms of pass progression or progression of the ball, you're right. Like Musa's not that great of a passer necessarily, but he's a really good moving the ball with his feet, like progressing the ball in the dribble essentially. And Weston McKennie's good finding weird, awkward pockets to receive the ball, as Ryan said in that progressive passes played too. So I think that, there's a lot there. It just depends if, again, like our coach can figure it the fuck out. And I do think a number 6 would be nice. Tyler's just been hurt for so long.
Yeah. A lot of players have been hurting for a long time.
So any thoughts on this Jamaica game generally? I know we're kind of inching towards that. I didn't watch all of it. I kind of picked it up and watched it in like 20-minute pieces, but you guys have any thoughts?
I didn't watch it.
So, I guess to briefly recap, right? So we end up winning that 3-1 in
extra time,
not injury time, extra time. So we gave up the goal to Jamaica went up 1-0 within the first minute on a pretty poorly played ball, a misplayed ball on the defense, and then Scally was in there for Des because Des is suspended with the yellow card accumulation, presumably for yelling at 15 people, including the ref. But so Scally's filling in and has done pretty well when he's filled in.
Is this from that crazy tackle?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and see. Yeah, if it was
for accumulation. That was a red.
I thought it was two yellows.
Yeah,
it was 2 yellows.
It was 2 yellows in rapid succession. Mm-hmm. And then Reem looked like he was gonna fucking eat him. He was fucking furious about it.
Reem reamed him out, and then there was that whole thing. But so Scally's filling in. The ball takes what I'd say is a weird deflection, right? So a lot of them have been made of Scally losing his guy at the back post, and this is something that happens at Chelsea a lot, right? We complain about, but the ball basically is coming straight down, and the Jamaica guy has a free run on it, and I don't know that you can reasonably expect Scally to be doing, could Scally have gotten to that ball? Yes, but it's one of those weird things that you're not expecting the ball to go 50 feet in the air and come straight down to the guy in the back post. But anyways, really crappy way to give up the goal. And then we were just chasing it. We pressed them, and there were times where Jamaica, the second half in particular, Jamaica was on their heels the whole time, right? And so it was good to see us respond. On the other hand, it was a real struggle for us to tie the game, so much so that the game tying goal didn't come till off a corner kick on the last play of the game, on an own goal deflection.
Own goal deflection. Shit.
And and granted, it was a great corner. I forget who was taking it at that point. Maybe that was Pulisic.
Yeah, to Haji Wright, I think, right?
But Haji, I was thinking of who took the corner, but I think it was Miles Robinson got on the end of that to generate the own goal. And then, to Luke's point, almost immediately in extra time, Gio played his first beautiful assist to Haji Wright of the game, breaking the line like no one else can on this team, or has been able to for a long time, since maybe his dad. And that kind of broke, I think, Jamaica in a sense. Eventually Gio got his second assist again to Haji Wright. Beautiful turn on the ball to basically did that was the one who did a 360 came around and pinged it to the far post.
Really bad first touch, but reacted well.
Yeah. I mean, you could. Yeah, it looked when you saw it live, you're like, "Oh, that's a crappy touch," and then he just spun on the guy and had a wide open shot to the back net. So again, Gio and Haji Wright having huge roles in that game. Haji Wright coming on as a substitute in that game for Balo. Tyler Adams came in and played important minutes. There was a little bit of a moment where he was frustrated coming off the field after he had his time clock, and Greg had to calm him down, which I think I assume that was probably something like either indirectly, implicitly, or explicitly was agreed to limit his minutes going into that game. So I'm not really sure. I mean, you as a player, you're always going to be frustrated to come off when you feel like you can keep going, right? But probably the right thing to do considering the guys played barely at all in the last 8 months, right? So anyways, good to see him grind out the win. It's concerning that it took them into extra time, right? And we'll see how that plays into
to be a
final with Mexico,
depleted
right?
Jamaican team too.
Well,
it wasn't even
true.
Jamaican.
We didn't mention that
team.
backdrop, right? So Leon Bailey.
Did you see what Leon Bailey said about the Jamaica team?
He called them a bunch of Bush League, Alabama ran something others. Yeah.
Really?
It's like directionally what he said. He basically was like, it was a interview he was doing last week. He said that like, basically they are completely disorganized. They're really poorly funded. He doesn't think he's received a penny from the Jamaica team ever. And, that when he is called up for the team, like when he's participating in international duty, he often does not receive his flight details until midnight the night before he has to leave. God. Like he was just like, it's a disorganized shit show.
And so he decided to bring that up in response to getting suspended for violating team rules, because that's the appropriate time to air grievances.
Yeah.
And Mikel Antonio was hurt, right?
I think he was suspended for the same incident, I thought, or was he hurt?
I thought he was hurt.
I thought Bailey and somebody else were suspended for team rules, and then there were a couple injured. I don't know who the mix of them were, but they were all like
the team wasn't that good, and outside of Tyler Adams, Jorginho Dest, the U.S. men's national team wasn't that depleted. They should have had enough to win that game.
Agreed. Yeah, this is a pretty strong squad. Like I said, I didn't catch this.
Pulisic, I'll say, didn't have his best game. In particular, there was one opportunity where he could have squared it to two. I think it might have been McKinney and Musa might have been in the middle, and he in the box to square to, and he tried to take like a bad shot from a bad angle. And there are a couple moments like that where he just couldn't pull it off. And I think
what a week and a half Haji Wright is having.
Yeah.
He's about to go to Manchester United soon to play a fucking semifinal.
Yeah, scored the game winner for Coventry, and then scored.
On top of that, wasn't in the squad, right? Got called up due to injuries with Aronson at the last minute. Was going to board a flight to go on vacation, so he wasn't even going to be available an hour later. And then comes in and scores the game winner. After the game winner in the Coventry game, right? So huge for him, and it's good to see. Like, I don't know, we keep thinking maybe we actually have depth at striker now. Seems crazy to think about it, because one of the other notes was Pepe. I don't know if any of you have been following this too closely. I know we brought up a little bit, but he's tied for the most goals as a substitute in Europe's top 10 leagues.
7 goals as a substitute.
So it's if that's a role, he could fill for this team, right? I think going back to the point on like player, how the players played, obviously there's a whole Gio saga as a backdrop, but I don't know if I said it on the podcast before, but in my mind, Gio continues to be, in my mind, the most important piece of this team being successful against the top tier competition. I think Pulisic is probably the best player on the team, but having Gio, who can play all over, and particularly in the middle, can break the lines, to me is more important against top defenses than Pulisic, who's a little bit more about running at you and crossing it, et cetera, dribbling past you. And yeah, those 2 assists were great. And credit to Greg, I guess, in a sense, for bringing him in when you could have easily left him out of the squad, right, without taking much heat about it, because these dumbasses in Forest refused to play him a single minute or even put him in the squad, right? So like he had an excuse not to put him there. He put him in there an important role, and he produced against, and there was even, it's interesting, people criticize Greg for bringing him in, maybe because they feel like it's like him trying to like give him a second chance or something. I don't know, but it's good to see that come good, because I think he is just really critical to this team and gives them something that nobody else on this team really does consistently.
Yeah, I think the hard part about Gio is, one, obviously all the noise surrounding him created by Berhalter partially, and he even brought it up in his post-game conference, press conference. He like brought up like somebody saying
Jesse Marsch was giving him shit for having called him into the team at all. Yeah.
And I listened to even what Jesse Marsch said. It seemed much more banal than even that. Like it was like kind of like, how is this guy going to fit in? Essentially, is the question. And I do think that's an important question, because where is he going to play? Is he going to play outside instead of Weah? I don't think so, because Timothy Weah gives us a whole different dynamic to the game, right? Pace, power. Is he going to switch for Yunus Musa or McKennie? He has better passing range than both of them. He'll split a defense a little better, but doesn't dribble past people in the same way or have the same work rate as either of those players. You switch him for Pulisic, highly unlikely, right? So it's like, where does he fit into the structure of the team? And we don't really have a coach who's creative, smart, or worth a whole fucking bag of fucking dimes to figure it out. Like, it's like a good problem to have, but instead the team just continues to be stagnant instead of trying new things. I don't think Gio is probably the most mature player. I think that we could probably all agree that probably not the most mature player, but he deserves a place in the team, and he doesn't play the team doesn't play enough to his strengths or play through him enough, or highlight him enough to really get the best out of him. And that's down to the management, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, it seems like I wouldn't have, we've talked about this as a group a while ago, right? When he was playing basically this box to box role for us in the Gold Cup at times, and he seems to be able to fit in and produce in this 4-3-3. And we saw Tillman, frankly, was being played a little bit out of place, in my opinion, too, and that he's more of an attacking midfielder like Reyna. And so it seems like there's a place for that type of player in the squad as a starter. But you're right, it's not the most obvious thing, right? But it's worked, so I don't know. It's tough because I don't see him doing anything smart with the tactics. To your point,
do you start Reyna instead of Tillman then?
What's that?
I feel like Reyna and Tillman are probably competing for the same kind of squad position or place on the field at the moment, right?
Yeah,
Which
I
one
don't
do
think
you
you
play?
can in a 4-3-3. You can have two attacking midfielders out there, right? FIFA won't even let you do that, actually.
So in this
Not
structure,
a Football Manager will.
In this structure, it's like Yunus Musa,
do what I want.
McKennie, and Reyna, and like fuck the six. Like have McKennie and Musa hold a little bit more, let Reyna push forward and be a little freer.
Yeah, that's the more obvious interpretation within a 4-3-3, right? Is just to do that. But they seem to be making it work otherwise. So I don't know.
Let's go.
Reyna can't get a game for Forest, right?
Yeah. I mean, and that's I started voicing some of that displeasure a couple weeks ago, but I guess we could talk about their financial fair play now or later, but Forest can go fuck themselves. Like I hope they get relegated at this point. Like what the hell was the point?
It's a weird transfer.
Yeah.
Like where's he gonna? Well, who's gonna replace in the Forest team really? Like, is he going to replace Morgan Gibbs-White?
Well, I'd say he could replace anybody on that team other than Morgan Gibbs-White. They're all terrible.
I think Alenga and Hudson-Odoi have been okay.
Yeah, Show's been good. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't
they've
think
got three attackers and nobody else on the team. It's like...
Yeah.
But you're right. The fit doesn't make sense,
The
right? Because you
transfer
put him
didn't
out there
make
as a
sense.
fourth attacker. It doesn't solve anything for that team.
No, I think that's the problem. He went to the wrong team who were not looking for that solution. There's so much other shit wrong with Forest, like you said, including their financial fair play now. Are they in the relegation? Are they in third?
Yeah.
And they're Luton's above them now? Let's fucking go, Luton.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. That's so
they're
Luton's
down
now
to
above
18.
them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a bad transfer for Reina. He just wanted to get out of Dortmund really quickly once Sancho showed up. So yeah, he needs a full transfer to a team that's going to make an investment in the player, not just take him for 6 months.
Yeah,
What do you rate our chances against Mexico tonight?
I'm kind of excited. I think we'll lose, and I hope Berhalter gets fired right away. Right after. Fucking out for it,
Ryan.
Berhalter out.
Yeah.
What's your predictions, Berhalter? As well? 3-0 drumming.
What time is this game?
9:15.
It's at 9:15.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, I know.
I have a job, guys.
Well, no, but think about it this: like, what?
Barely.
Why? Why is it scheduled this way? Like,
Probably
you could move up the
fucking
third place game earlier.
March Madness is on, and people are watching children play basketball instead.
But there's March Madness at late tonight. I think aren't those games on tonight? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm an adult, so I don't watch children play a bad sport.
Well, exactly. And so there's a large stakeholder group in terms of viewership.
Spend quite a bit of your time deciding on which keyboards to buy.
Shut up, Luke.
As an adult does.
Shut up.
Adult who's worried about carpal tunnel.
I mean, Yale and San Diego State are playing at 9:40 tonight. Yale, those kids should be studying. They're at Yale.
They're not going to the NBA.
San Diego State, those kids are studying, but Yale, those kids are studying.
This will be a fun. This will be a fun match. I mean, I'm always going to back. Like, I think we've gotten the better of Mexico most of the time lately, and I think that'll probably continue.
Mexico's not quite as strong as they've been in the past. They've got good players, though.
That's what I was going to say. I'm surprised Luke came out so hot there.
Well, he just wants Berhalter out. That was my read. Like,
he's just looking the U.S. to lose 4-0.
Yeah, he's in like crater the team until Berhalter's out mode, which I can appreciate.
I think Roman Abramovich should buy the U.S. Soccer Federation. And then he'll hire Jose Mourinho.
Oh, God.
Okay, fair enough. That I get behind, I guess. I don't know. I'd sacrifice my morals and my ethics to get Mourinho in there.
Bring in Saudi, save it.
I've got a hard line somewhere, okay, Luke? I didn't say I had none. I think, 2-0 US or 2-1 US. I am, but I think we've moved past them. We're not at top form, but I think we have a lot of headroom from where we played against Jamaica. So that's a bit concerning, that performance, but I think we have the talent to easily get it done tonight. So we'll see.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about did we talk about Pulisic's 4 goals? 4 straight matches,
not directly.
Right?
I mean, I think that was interesting, right? He had goals in 4 straight for Milan coming into the Jamaica game, and again, to my opinion, very much underperformed. So he could be a big factor tonight. X factor tonight.
I see in the other stuff on our show notes, will Mbappe choose Real or Tottenham? Who wrote that?
That's it. I didn't know I was going to look at the notes until now. But
I just scrolled down. It's on the next page. I just scrolled down. Who the fuck wrote that?
So, anyways, I expect Pulisic to bounce back today because he usually doesn't have 2 bad games. Transitioning to Tottenham,
Luke went to Mexico to avoid the Fulham Tottenham discussion.
To be honest, I watched that game in Mexico, and that might have been one of the worst days that I was there. We don't need it. You guys probably already talked about that last week.
We didn't talk too much about it. We spent a long time talking about Chelsea, their game against Leicester, because of there were so many storylines around that, like Sterling's bullshit, Mudryk being pulled off before Sterling, even though Mudryk Mudrik's position being moved around a whole lot. The fans. I don't know if you caught all this leak, but the fans
I saw some of it.
were chanting, "You don't know what the fuck you're doing" to Pochettino, and and all of that happening in the context of a 4-2 win
against
was
Leicester,
like pretty wild. And then that insane Man United and Liverpool showdown. So
luckily that all overshadowed the joy I had at Mobtown watching the Tottenham game live.
Mobtown's a Tottenham bar, right?
Well, they've got a flag. They kind of hide it back in the rafters. That's why I sent that picture.
Yeah, that's a Tottenham. That's just what they have to do.
Yeah, there weren't any other Tottenham fans. There weren't any Tottenham fans there. Granted, there weren't any Fulham fans besides us.
I didn't know they played
either.
those games at Mobtown. I'm going to go now.
You just have to ask them to change the channel, yeah.
All right, man, there's a lot to cover here. We're at 50 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know what we actually want to talk about. We want to talk about anything the EPL?
We can talk about, there's a lot. There's the Forest point deduction. Leicester have a huge pending point deduction, so if they get promoted, they're going to start next season with, I think, an undetermined at this point deduction, but they were found in violation of 3 different, I think it was like 3
You're
different.
pretty plugged in. Do you know who after Leicester they're going to use to deflect attention away from Man City?
There was some it says Leicester to be hit with bigger point deduction than Nottingham Forest, so they haven't said what the point deduction would be, but because it's moot at this point. But if they get promoted, they will start in the hole next season.
I was thinking about this the other day. It's insane how far Leicester has fallen from winning the Premier League so quickly.
Really, really bad transfer strategy. Like very really bad transfer strategy over.
I also think the pandemic hit that club really hard because the owners are basically tourism, or like they own large amounts of tourism hotels kind of thing, got cruises, and that all shut down during the pandemic. So like the sponsorship couldn't bring in as much money, something like that. There was some they got fucked over somehow, but really bad transfer strategy. I would actually rather that this way be the case, like Leicester get promoted and start in the hole, than have point deductions come at the end of the season. I fucking hate this. Like Forest lose 4 points. Like the fans are the only ones that get hurt by it, you know?
Yeah, I think that the goal is to get to that point. I think that they're sort of... I've seen comments like that from, I don't know, like authority figures around these rulings that... Like
those authority figures agree with me.
They've sort of explained that that they started behind the ball this season as they've been ramping up the application of FFP, which if we're like, this shit was basically ignored until the last maybe 2 years. And
I'm sure they're all working 80-hour weeks like you, though, right? Like working really hard to try and catch up. Because they feel like they owe it to the fans.
But they have said that Man City has been doing everything they can to, like, where these other teams have basically been like, yeah, we fucked up. Here's how we fucked up. Like, they've been really forthcoming. Man City is doing everything they can to gun this up and delay it, which is what they did when they were dealing with CONCACAF. So that's what's going on. And it's like, it's complicated. You're basically going toe to toe with a fucking nation state. And maybe that is more evidence that you shouldn't allow a country to own a soccer team, you know, like,
we've mentioned that a couple times on this podcast, I think.
Well, and their charges aren't really even about FFP or PSR. They're really just about lying about books, right? It's not about any transparent breach of profit loss. It's really that they were lying about where the dollars were coming from, right?
Yep. And they were caught lying through emails that hackers acquired and then leaked from, I think, from Germany, if I remember right. And that their argument with CONCACAF was that was not, because of the way it was obtained, it cannot be admissible in court, which is crazy to me. Like if somebody was dead and hackers acquired an email saying where I was like, I stabbed them to death and I liked it. Like that would be inadmissible. Like I don't understand, but I think that was like a key way that City was able to, get this overturned. And well, it was that, and it was just like war of attrition with CONCACAF, right? Like
money,
they just like
time,
they have infinite money, and like these organizations do not have infinite money to pursue this stuff. So that's what's gonna happen. I mean, buckle up for the idea that this will all be dropped. Like City will get away with it. Is my take. I hope I'm wrong.
I'm surprised
the penalty will be so small.
Yeah.
Sorry, Derek.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't use the Swiss instead of the Germans to keep things buried. I think that's a mistake on them, but they should have.
Well, the Germans were the hackers. I think.
Gotcha.
I think it was like some German newspaper or something.
That makes more sense now.
So Chelsea, they are all over the news this week because Blueco, they released their finances. So Blueco is the holding company for Chelsea. So they by them releasing their finances this week, it gave us some insight into where Chelsea stand, because Chelsea is part of the Blueco package. It was like this week or last week or something. And so people have dug into that. And one of the things that was unexpected about Chelsea's current financial situation is that we had like a rough idea, because they've reported FFP numbers for this year. We had a rough idea of where they stood this season, but we didn't know exactly how, like what money had been applied from where, because they've had all these player sales. And the shock of the Blueco financial report was that it is now obvious that Mason Mount's fee was applied last year, and that's what kept them compliant for the last calendar year. So this creates a 60-ish million pound hole that people were not accounting for in the next FFP period. Now, Chelsea insist that they still hold the keys to their own destiny and that they will be going into the transfer market. They also said that in December and then did nothing. So like a note you had on here was like, where will Chelsea finish in the table, which I think is like immaterial to this topic. And then what can they realistically be expected to sell this offseason? So they've got Lewis Hall. That is a loan with an obligation to buy from Newcastle for a lot. I think like 35 million, which it's like sort of a crazy fee. So that'll get applied. And then Matsson's been tearing it up in Bundesliga. He'll almost certainly get picked up. And I think they've set his price at like 30, 35. Maybe Lewis Hall is 25. I don't remember. And then you've got like
both seem high to like both just generally seem high.
Very high. Yeah. But Lewis Hall is done. Like that, like Newcastle agreed to that. And yeah, so Matsson, it seems high to me, but he has been tearing it up and the fans love him there. And I think Dortmund will pick it up. So that's a start, Derek. Then there's Broya, who has got to be borderline worthless. Like, he can't get a game.
Well, no, we're going to get $4 million because they underplayed him.
Yeah. I think the significance of that is, like, sort of lost.
Sure.
Like, Chelsea sent Fulham. It's Fulham, right? He went to Fulham. Yeah. Sent Fulham Broya on a loan with zero loan fee as long as they played him a certain amount of time. And Fulham took a look at him and said, we would rather pay $4 million than play this fucking guy. Chelsea thinks
Munoz is on a streak too. That dude's scoring fucking goals for Fulham.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's balling out.
Yeah.
So Chelsea, like, the asset value of Broya is tanking. For sure. But the Chelsea, and like if you listen to soccer analysts, they say that Broya has his admirers still, and like I don't know, the striker market's fucked up. I have no idea what he could go for. They are. I think Chelsea fans need to be lucid to the reality that Conor Gallagher is going to be. He's going to be sold. They have a gun to their head with Gallagher. Like they're going to have to sell him.
Well, that's the largest pure profit asset they have, essentially, right? Like, yeah, I couldn't imagine anybody else on that squad that they could sell and make a really good profit on right now.
Yeah, and then something that a lot of people aren't talking about is because Chelsea really sucks at this. Jamal Musiala was let go from the Chelsea academy to Bayern, and he's like gonna be in the conversation for Ballon d'Ors down the road. Probably, he's fucking amazing, and so Chelsea let him go to Bayern for like a 6-pack of beer. And
was that pre-Bowley or post-Bowley?
Pre-Bowley. Yeah. Bowley has been obsessed with trying to bring him back, but there's no fucking shot.
That's $100 million player.
Yeah, but they sold him for a 6-pack of beer and a 20% sell-on clause. So that, and he is forcing a sale this summer. So that'll hit the books as pure profit. Yep.
Yeah, where's he going?
There's talks of Liverpool. Chelsea want in. Which they'd be able to get him at a 20% discount, but they don't have a pot to piss in at Chelsea right now.
Even with all the factors, it's like I feel like that's getting to like that's not even getting to zero. You know, it's like we're not really moving the ball that much, even with Gallagher gone.
Yeah, they don't have a shirt sponsor lined up. Like they're printing shirts right now. Like like the by this point in the calendar year, the shirt design is set and they're starting to produce these in anticipation of next season, and they don't have a shirt sponsor. This like fraudulent company, Infinite Athlete, that sponsored, like that was like they're not getting away with that.
Well, they only had like 3 or 4 sales to the US and they're all to your household, right?
Yes. Yeah. No, I bought them
last season.
No. I bought the shirts. I bought the Chelsea kits while they had no sponsor, because I was like, this is kind of a cool opportunity to buy a kit with no sponsor on it. Yeah, so I've got like a couple of those in the trash bin right now. So what else is there to talk about here? I mean, the Todd father went to Saudi and was schmoozing there, I'm sure, trying to like drum up some momentum behind some acquisitions. Like they need to dump Sterling somehow, and I think that, and this is, I haven't heard anyone mention this, but I think that we are likely to see Noni Madueke sold in this, just because of the finances, and he's in a position that we're just overloaded there. Like Palmer is undroppable. Mm-hmm. You've got Madueke behind him, but then also you have Angelo, who there's like the delta between the age of Angelo and Palmer makes a lot more sense than, like, Angelo has a lot of runway to develop if you're going to have him deputizing to Palmer. So then you've got like a succession plan there rather than like Madueke and Palmer being the same age. Like I think Madueke is just in a spot where he'll be sold, and he'll
generate some money to like a mid-table kind of team.
We'll make money on Madueke.
But I feel like this is more like I feel like Sterling is probably a big one. Lukaku, when he comes back onto the books in terms of wages, could be a big one if you can't get him off right away, which I think will happen.
Yeah,
but I think Sterling is really the big one almost here, because the wages
Hakeem
are almost
Ziyech is coming back.
So many players with big wages coming back. That's really what it is.
Now, Ziyech and Arrizabalaga will be in the final year of their deal. So there might be a path to being like, we're just going to cut you, like come to an agreement, like we cut you, get the wages off the books, and then that opens them up to go and get like a sign-on fee for themselves, right? And so there's a window there and that'll get wages off the books, but that's not going to help bring down the deficit
Operating
that
costs.
Chelsea are in. Yeah. And then this morning, I'm like drinking my coffee, catching up on The Athletic, and Chelsea are somehow the front runners to sign Victor Osimhen.
I was going to ask about that. Like, how do you feel about the chances?
Like, we are apparently the front runners to sign Victor Osimhen in what would be like just a cosmically confusing thing. Like, I don't like, he's wanted by PSG, Real Madrid, like all these. I mean, any team on earth really would want him. But he's like a huge Drogba fan, and I think that's really playing to our favor. I don't know.
Well, I think the question there is I think Osimhen would come to terms with Chelsea, but could Chelsea come to terms with Napoli for an agreement?
So that's the piece that so what the article said was Chelsea claim that they are willing and able to pay the transfer fee. They just need to work out a structure with Napoli is what the article said. So that is really confusing to me. Like,
well, and then at what cost to future planning too? Yeah, you pick up the one player, you defer the payment till the next year, but then you're in the same exact spot next year.
Yeah.
And you don't have the players to back up a player like Osimhen.
Yeah, and another thing that I think I heard on a athletic podcast that I had not thought about before, but with the new format of the CL, the revenue generated by the CL is going up dramatically this coming season. And so the teams that are in the CL, the delta between the revenue generated by the 4 or 5 teams that are in the CL and the rest of the league, there's going to be a huge disparity there. And the gap is just going to be like, if FFP doesn't change, the gap between the like haves and have-nots is just going to keep growing.
Huge,
yeah. So like Chelsea desperately need to get into the CL next season, or I don't know. I don't know what happens. It looks like Derek locked up. No, he's
just stunned.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to
I
need to spend more time like digging into the details. Like, as a finance guy, I guess I should have more ability to forecast this stuff. But like, the rules are so fucking convoluted too, and like the way the media reports it. Like, I understand they release financials to the holding company, but that doesn't tell you like what the actual revenue expenses for this year or over the 3-year period are going to be. And I guess you can reasonably estimate them, but it just seems like people are like throwing shit at the wall to come up with some of this. And I don't know, maybe I just need to take more of a look at it. But I think Ryan's right. Like, we're going to have to sell major pieces, right? And I don't know that maybe Bowley's still delusional about that. I don't know how much he's actually involved in that, but
even if
what's that?
Even if Saudi wants Sterling, I don't think Sterling wants Saudi. So like the get out of jail free card there, like Sterling is fucking dying to get back into England. He's not doing himself any favors with the way he plays and how selfish he is.
Yeah.
But he's dying to get back in the England squad, and that's guarantee he never gets back into the England squad.
That's two good points, right? One is the England squad, and two is England itself, right? Like, he, I think, from a cultural perspective, isn't somebody that would easily deal with going to Saudi, not to mention I want to say his daughter's probably like 7 or 8 or something like that now. Like, I don't know how many kids he has, but like, you're not going to put your kid in school over there if you want him to be, I don't know, like a normal adjusted human being, to put it lightly. I don't know.
I thought you were going somewhere else with that, but I'm glad you stopped.
No, I wasn't going the, anyways.
That's, well, like, so I don't have kids. Like, what Derek is saying, I know you get it, but like, I don't have kids, right? But like, if I was like, you're effectively being like, am I okay with stripping my daughter of
their
like,
rights?
The vast majority of her rights for like to chase the bag. I mean, he would have to leave his family in England, and is he okay with that? I don't know.
Well, it's not like there's been a huge story of success of English players moving to Saudi either. Like Jordan Henderson is the most obvious example.
Yeah, there's somebody like Ronaldo. You don't even know how many kids you have, much less where they are. You're worried about bringing them to Saudi.
Dude, that guy. He's the Donald Trump of soccer players.
He's got to become that a little bit.
There's a bunch of really tan-looking kids somewhere, but Ronaldo doesn't know where they are.
$240 million.
He has more money than fucking Donald Trump now, anyway.
Well, Truth Social.
I did see that valuation. Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Is it wise to have your lawyers tell the New York district attorney that you are broke, and then the next day IPO your social platform, generating billions of dollars in wealth for yourself?
No.
If you want to stay out of jail.
We're like bumping right up against time. Luke's got a soccer team to go to. Did we want to cover anything else? How about like to wrap it up? Who do you guys think ends at the top of the league? We're like in the home stretch. I think there's 8 or 9 matches left.
I haven't moved off City since last time we talked about it.
I'm on the City train. I think City will win it, especially if Jack Grealish can come into the team, provide some more control in the game. I think they'll win it, and I think they'll win the Champions League too. I think they could be up for another treble.
I said Arsenal preseason. I'm sticking with Arsenal.
I fucking hate Arsenal. Like, you're a normal person. But it would be. I think it would be good for the league if Arsenal won it.
It would be what? Sorry.
I'm glad you have that queued up. I think it would be good for the league if Arsenal won it. I think it would show a way for some other clubs.
Yeah. That Luke noise, that clip would be the noise I'd make for a year if I had to listen to Arteta beating his chest for winning the Premier League.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fucking twat.
Dude, Kai scored yesterday. There was a lot we could have talked that we didn't cover. Like Florian Wirtz had the fastest goal in German national team history yesterday.
Off a Kroos, right? But that was in a friendly, right? Against France?
Yeah, in a friendly maybe. I don't know what did it say?
Yeah, they won 2-0 in a friendly. England lost 1-0 to Brazil in a friendly.
Was Mbappe there, or was he negotiating with Tottenham?
Who put that there? Was that you?
What kind of question is that? Did you think Luke opened the notes and put the note in there?
Yeah, I would. The only thing I've ever written in those notes is I will not be reading these notes, you fuckheads.
Yeah, like I get that, but also like that requires a level of brain rot that only a Tottenham fan would have.
So I for the record did not write that. But you could put any club, Real Madrid versus, you could say Chelsea, you could say Man United. He's fucking going to Real Madrid.
He's already going. He is going to Real Madrid. Yeah. Notably in that England game, Endrick scored the winner for Brazil.
17? 17 years old? Fuck.
So the interesting thing about Endrick is that when Bowley bought Chelsea, he was, I think, the very first player in this like whole Project 2030 that Chelsea courted. And he and his family came to Stamford Bridge, and there's like photos of him with Jorginho and Thiago Silva and stuff like that. And he ended up going with Real Madrid. But that dude is going to be like, he's Real's future. Like, all of Real has got to be right now just one of the best run clubs, if not the best run club in the world. Like, they are set up. They have done effectively accomplished what Chelsea tried to do. Like, they have they've loaded the bullets back in the gun for the next like 10 years.
And it's like the complete antithesis to the Spain economy in general, which makes it that much more impressive.
Yeah, I saw some like the top valued player in each position in the world. It was like some graphic, and I think Real Madrid out of a starting 11 had like 5 of the 11.
Yeah, they've really built that team. Like it's the financial constraints are different than say like in the Premier League, like with PSR stuff like that. But the commercial leg of Real Madrid is just a behemoth.
Yeah.
Like they like the Glazer family wishes Manchester United had an inch on them. Like
they were probably on even footing between Barcelona and Real at some point in the last decade. Roughly, right? And just went completely opposite directions.
Just a masterclass in both directions.
Yeah.
Like here's how you.
Barcelona's fan owned, right?
I don't know.
I think
equity structure standpoint
is a different ownership structure, but you're right, Ryan. They just totally different ways. Man United, I don't know, down the gutter.
Yeah, I read something this week about Barcelona. So, like in La Liga, I guess the league calculates exactly what you can spend in total, like for the running of the club, and they're like, here's your number, and Real Madrid's is something like 8 times that of Barcelona's right now, and Barcelona is underwater to the tune of like 200 million euros or something like they have to sell off and restructure and like whatever they can do to get players off their books, because like their wage bill alone exceeds what they can spend, like their outlay for a wage bill. They're fucked, man.
They're fucked.
We could do a whole episode on that, but we will not start that now. Anything else, guys?
I forgot to highlight my Gio jersey that I had to pull out of the rubble since he's back in the team performing. So gotta recognize Ryan picking that out for Christmas. Yeah, he had the foresight to know that Gio is going to be the most important player for this U.S. team, despite being a super sub.
Yep.
I love the Gio jersey. Fully back behind Gio. We're looking for Gio to get an assist tonight.
I'm looking for Gio to start games anywhere.
I think he'll start tonight.
Yeah, I think he will too. But all right, we are the Football Yanks, and thanks for tuning in. If you are wherever you're listening to this, like and subscribe, whether that's on YouTube or Spotify or whatever. We have a Discord, we have a website. I have been real bad about posting on social media because my life is a personal hell right now, but I'm gonna try to adjust that this week.
That's also where I live, Ryan. So it's good to know that we're at full occupancy.
You guys can join me in Sayulita next time.
Yeah. I think that's it. Am I forgetting anything? Like,
now we'll have the results of Luke's personality tests on next week's episode, so tune in.
Join our. I don't want that. It's just the poop emoji. It's just a printout of the
personality type it is, but it's spit out a poop emoji with a smiley face.
It's the scream. All right. Join our Discord, you fucks. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.